Hey guys, welcome to Pistons Talk Podcast post-game show. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday night. Pistons played the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. They lose the season series to the Memphis Grizzlies this year. They beat us twice. Obviously, this game was a lot more competitive than the first game, if you guys do remember that. But let's get into a couple of things here. So, Cade Cunningham made his way back into the starting lineup. He has been out for a couple of weeks with a leg contusion. Looked like he was a little bit rusty, but I do expect that out of someone missing close to 2 weeks of not playing basketball. His last game was against the Dallas Mavericks, and that was on March 21st, and we're April 5th as I'm recording this podcast. No Tobias Harris. He's still dealing with that Achilles uh, tendinopathy, and no Jalen Duren. So Jalen Duren was questionable about maybe an hour before tip-off. He has a leg contusion, just what Cade Cunningham was actually kind of dealing with. So he does have a leg bruise as well. So Cade back, no Tobias, no Duren. So and no John Morant. John Morant got food poisoning. Don't know where he ate in Detroit last night, but apparently he got food poisoning. So that's what you need to know with this game tonight. Cade did look well rested. I will say that. Looked like he did have a lot of energy, which is good. I think bringing him back these last 5 games or so is important. And the reason why I think it's important for Cade to come back and play these last 5 games is get all the rust off and be 100% ready for the playoffs. We've known with Cade when he does come back from injuries, it does take him a couple of games or so to kind of get into a rhythm, and that's okay. That's how some players are. I don't really think it's a negative thing whatsoever. But Cade looked rested, but there was definitely some rust there, and I do expect that. Asar to me, I thought had a really good game tonight. I do want to pull his box score up. I know if you do, I see some people complaining about Beasley having a bad night and Cade having a bad shooting night, but Asar 18 points tonight on 7 out of 9 shooting, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. Asar's just really coming into his own, and I love that for him. When Cade went to the bench, he was kind of the facilitator. Oh, I couldn't even say that word. Out there with Marcus Sasser tonight, and I love that for him. Desmond Bain, Desmond Bain, man. Every time Desmond Bain plays the Detroit Pistons, he goes nuclear. Is it because Troy Weaver promised to draft him his first year here in 2020? Maybe. I don't know. But he was red hot in the first quarter, did not miss a shot. And he was a really big reason why the Grizzlies did go out to a 3-point lead to end the first quarter. But the score was 27-24. Coming out of the second quarter, neither team really scored for the first 3 minutes. Took the Pistons about almost 4 minutes to score, and it was a fast break Malik Beasley layup. But the offense did wake up around the 5 minute mark. It was back to back threes for Isaiah Stewart. Stu actually shot some three tonight, believe it or not, hit 2 of them. And Cade Cunningham. They go on an 8-0 run, and the Pistons defense really stepped up and got themselves back into this game, and they end the second quarter on a 14-2 run. And I think a big reason why they were able to, go on a run, get a lead is Isaiah Stewart and just his rim protection and his defense tonight. Going into halftime, it was a 47-46 Detroit Pistons lead, believe it or not. And coming out of halftime, they were just really flat, slow. And I think a big reason why this was a Pistons loss tonight was the rebounding. You can look at the rebounding tonight. The rebounding was 100% why the Detroit Pistons lost this game. Now, if you guys want to just pull up the team stats, I haven't pulled up in front of me right here. So the Memphis Grizzlies had 64 rebounds tonight. Zach Edey was responsible for 20 of those. 17 offensive rebounds by the Memphis Grizzlies. When you're getting out rebounded by 20, it's going to be very difficult for you to win basketball games. And the Pistons didn't particularly shoot well, from the field. They shot 38 38.5% from the field and 28% from three. It's just going to be very, very hard to, win this game. It was a low turnover game for them as well. They only had 7 turnovers to Memphis's 15, but the rebounding was very apparent. Not securing defensive rebounds is very difficult when you're going up against guys like a Jaren Jackson Jr., like a Zach Edey, and even Santi Aldama, who comes off their bench. But I thought that was a really big reason why Memphis, controlled the game and the tempo for a majority of this game. Cade went on a little heater in the third to get the game close, and the Pistons went on an 8-0 run. To get it within one, it was 70-69, the last 2 or so minutes in this third quarter. And, they surged back to get a lead. They got a 2-point lead they had a 2-point lead to end the third quarter, excuse me. And, going into the fourth quarter, Cade came into the game around the 9-minute mark. And JB did say in his press conference earlier that Cade Cunningham was on a minute restriction tonight. And I think that's smart given, excuse me, he missed 2 weeks with that leg contusion and he only played 28 minutes tonight. But, for a majority of the game, he looked good. He got really heated over a double dribble call that the officials called, and he was on the ref's ass for the entire fourth quarter. Dennis Schroeder and Malik hit some big time threes in this fourth. This is a very back and forth game down the stretch, but Memphis just went big. They throw Jaren Jackson and a Zach Edey out there to keep controlling the glass, and Desmond Bane just kind of took over and closed this game. Like, he had over 30, I think 36 or 38 points tonight. He just looked great. With no John Moran out there, he was kind of like that number one option for them. And Memphis wins this one, 109-103. So Pistons finished the week with only one victory. Obviously, it's good that the Pistons were able to beat the Raptors and kind of clinch and secure a playoff spot, a guaranteed playoff spot. But you still have 5 games remaining on the schedule. You have the Bucks twice, the Knicks and the Kings, I believe. So all those games are going to be very difficult, especially the 2 Buck games to end the season. But I don't want to ramble too much about this game because it was a Pistons loss. What I do want to do, though, is open up the show to comments, questions, overall thoughts with this game, or how you guys are feeling about this current Detroit Pistons team. We'll go to Jay Hart. He does have the first comment of tonight's post-game podcast show. And he has to say, it might just be me, but since we clinched, the losses don't even matter. Just don't stack the L's as a win here and a win there. To solidify the 6th seed is just fine, considering we want to be healthy for the playoffs. I've seen a lot of discourse with this online, with Pistons fans wanting the Knicks and not the Pacers, and want to get in that 6th seed. Like, I'm never going to tell a fan how to fan. Like, I'm not going to gatekeep with you guys. Like, if you want to verse the Pacers, more power to you. Get that rivalry back. If you want to play the Knicks because you feel like the Knicks might not be 100% healthy because Tom Thibodeau likes to play his starter time minutes, I could see that argument as well. But I agree with you, Jay Hart. You don't want to end the season on like a 5-game losing streak. Maybe if you can get 2-3 of those, you're happy. If you can get all 5, you're probably ecstatic, right? Honestly, I don't really see this team going on a 5-game skid to end the season. This game was very important to JB Bickerstaff. He was on the ref's ass for the entire game. He coaches every game with the same intensity, the same energy, and the same fire, and I love that about him. And he was even kind of getting chippy back and forth with Tyler Ford, and like like some of the mics kind of picked up the audio, and like JB has some beef with Tyler Ford. If you guys want to go back and watch that game in the fourth quarter, you could definitely hear those two kind of bickering back and forth. But if the Pistons keep the 6th seed in the matchup with the New York Knicks, I think that'd be a really good first round matchup. If they match up with the Pacers and they keep that 5 seed, that's going to be a fun first round matchup as well. But I'm never going to gatekeep with you guys. You guys are 100% entitled to your opinion, and I will at least have a conversation and a discussion with you, and I'm not going to put down your opinions whatsoever. Coach P, shooting too many threes. Yeah, when the ball's not going in, like tonight was really apparent that like the 3-point shot wasn't our friend. Like Malik usually has a much better game than shooting 3 out of 12 from 3, but collectively, I thought this team really struggled to shoot the basketball, especially coming out of halftime, like going scoreless for over 4 minutes coming out of halftime. That's not really a Detroit Pistons trait of this team this season. They're usually a team that's very aggressive coming out of halftime, but you have to credit Memphis defense. They did a really good job at closing out on the Pistons 3-point shooters. They also did a really good job of defending Cade Cunningham, making his life difficult. But nights like tonight happen maybe a couple times in this season. But, overall, I like the effort. I like that they didn't, just kind of give up because the shots weren't falling. Hakeem the Dream, how did we let Bane go off like that? I don't know, man. He just sees red whenever he sees the Pistons. I know I mentioned it at the top of the podcast, but during the 2020 draft, there was some like discussions that Troy Weaver was a really, really big fan of Desmond Bane. And he even promised to draft him over a guy like a Sadiq Bey. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if the front office didn't like Desmond Bane, because if you guys remember, there was always 3 heads at that table when it came to any type of um, deals, free agency signings, whatever it may be. Troy liked Desmond Bane. He wanted to draft him, but obviously we did draft Sadiq Bey instead. But maybe Bane remembers those pre-draft conversations that the Pistons promised him that they were going to draft him with one of their 3 first-round draft picks in 2020. But it's kind of like you could add him to that Pistons killer list, Hakeem the Dream. Like I keep an active list on my iPhone of just Pistons killers over the years, just guys that go off against us for no particular reason. Like I was looking at it the other day, like TJ McConnell's like really high on my Pistons killer list. I mean, TJ's been killing the Pistons since like Stan Van Gundy was coaching the team. But yeah, man, like I don't know what it is. He just gets into his bag, mid-range 3, get to the free throw line. It's honestly kind of crazy. 42 threes in a game is ridiculous. That's just a waste of possessions at that. But I agree. Like if the 3-point shot isn't falling, maybe kind of shift your focus more in the mid-range or looking for more transition opportunities, which I thought they did a pretty good job of trying to push the pace. It's just if they would have secured more rebounds, I think they would have been able to get it on transition more and probably win this basketball game at the end of the day. And Jalen Duren not playing, they really missed Jalen Duren securing those rebounds, in my opinion. I think if JD's healthy, they possibly win this game. And, Zach Edey's not going for 20 rebounds on the Detroit Pistons tonight, right? But Zach Edey's just a big guy. Like I didn't realize how tall he was until I was watching tonight, and like he made Stu look like a point guard. Like he was just so tall. And Stu's not a short guy by any means. Stu's a good like 6'8". But Zach Edey is just so damn tall, man. Wow. I am the big cheese. Dennis and Tech are struggling offensively to a significant degree. I would say from an offensive standpoint, I would agree with you. There are some nights where, Dennis isn't shooting the ball the best. Tech has just been so up and down for a majority of the season. I could maybe count 5 or 6 games where Tech actually was pretty consistent offensively and was hitting his threes. But I do agree with you. Offensively, I think they've struggled. That's never really been Dennis's strong suit, is to be a strong 3-point shooter. I think Dennis at his best is taking the ball into the lane, getting layups, or if you can't get a layup, just kicking it out from 3. And I think he's done that for majority of his game since we have traded for him, but he has struggled a little bit here and there. I'm not going to nitpick too much with Dennis because he was kind of playing off ball tonight because he was in the starting lineup, which I was kind of confused by. but I think JB's just kind of tinkering with the starting lineups, maybe kind of experimenting because we do have the playoffs coming up. Maybe that's why Dennis started next to Cade and Tim and Assar and Isaiah Stewart tonight, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But Zach for a majority of the year has been really inconsistent with his shot. I really don't know what's going on with him. But at the end of the day, it's just like I think you have to at least look at other players, in my opinion, come playoff time. And I don't know if JB will do that because like Tech is such a significant drop off from Tobias. Like the drop off between Tobias and Tech is really eye opening. And I think there are possibly other players that could fill his role. Like, would you give Ron Holland more minutes over Simone Fontecchio off the bench? Would you look at possibly Lindy Waters, who's brand new? Obviously, Lindy is not the defender that Tech is. There is a drop off defensively, I think, a little bit with Lindy, but not too much. Lindy, in his limited time here, has made some pretty decent three pointers. Only thing with Lindy is he's not really too comfortable with putting the ball on the floor, and I'm not saying that's a strength of Simone Fontecchio's, but he's been doing it all season long. I don't really know if JB's going to really mess with his rotations this deep into the season and with the playoffs coming up. But I really don't know. I really don't know. Want to get into a comment from Mr. Lodger too. Shout out to him. Says, just like Udonis said on NBA TV, we're going to make sure the others continue to eat, even though Kate is back, to keep the confidence high going into the playoffs. Yeah, I did catch that post game, or I think it was like a pregame or maybe a halftime thing with Udonis Haslam on NBA TV. And I think that's a big strength of this team. Like this team isn't selfish where like Cade needs 30 touches to get his points. Cade's comfortable shooting 12 shots if that means like maybe Malik could have a game where he has 20 or Tim has 20 or maybe Dern's feeling at that game or even Asar for that matter. This team is very unselfish and I think that's why they gel so well together and why they get along with each other because everyone has an opportunity to shine in different moments and we've seen it this season. We've seen Jaden Ivey take over games when he won in Sacramento. We've seen Tim Hardaway Jr. go nuclear against the Miami Heat. We've seen Malik Beasley get the Pistons back into these games. And I think that's what's so special about this team is like you don't really have a star player that's complaining that he's not getting his 25 26 points a night or 30 points a night as an example that I just kind of laid out. And I think Udonis, hit the nail on the head. Udonis was a very good player, really good role player, I should say, in his day with the Miami Heat. So he knows what he's talking about. So, I'm not really too concerned with this loss because they were competitive and they played hard. Now, if they would have lost by like 20, 25 points, then I would be a little bit concerned with the effort. But you can't say they didn't try tonight. I thought the effort for a majority of the game was pretty good. They were a little sluggish at times, but overall, late in the season, April, got the playoffs coming up. Could they be kind of over this season since they, clinched a playoff spot? Possibly. They could be kind of just locking in of either the Pacers or the Knicks. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I have a comment from Raps Piston since '02. Hello, Anthony. Big fan of your YouTube channel and Spotify podcast. They come in handy when I'm at work and I can pop my AirPods in or when I'm out walking. 10 out of 10. I appreciate that, man. I really do. That you actually listen on the audio side and you decided to come up on our YouTube channel watching live right now. I appreciate that, man. That made my day. But we're probably gonna wrap up this podcast, you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 o'clock. We'll probably do a longer form podcast, probably over an hour or so, with Corey Woods. And we're gonna be talking about just the playoffs, a bunch of other topics that I have in the show for you, and we'll probably do some Q&A like we kind of do with these post game podcasts at the end of that show. So we'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 o'clock. 7:10 depends if my internet's working properly, but we will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and as always, go Pistons. Peace.